So the final step is to set up our stage object to spawn all the different stages, stage 2, 3, 4, etc. Before you do that though, if you have multiple enemies like I have, they should all be subclasses of one enemy. And I talk about this in one of the videos when I talked about how to create the different types of enemies. So go back to that video if you need to and set up all these subclasses. You'll see why in a minute. First I'm going to go to stage here and I'm going to go to the act method. We set up this blink thing, but after this if statement, see there's this whole purple area. I'm going to write one more if statement that says if blink is less than 0, well, then I want to do something. In this case, I want to run a method. I haven't written a method yet, but that's okay. I'm going to run a method called spawn. And then down here, I've got the blink minus minus, and after this curly brace, I'm going to hit return several times. And here I'm going to write my spawn method, public void spawn. I'll type my 2 sets of curly braces. First thing I want to do in this method is get the world, and I want to be able to control it with a variable. So I'm going to go world, and I'm just going to type world equals get world. Then the rest of this time I can just use world instead of get world. It's just less typing, so I'm going to hold on to that. And here there's going to be if statements based on the stage. So here, if my stage is equal to 2, then I want to do some stuff. Notice I always type my 2 sets of curly braces. Now let's at this point, let's do a quick review of what's happening. So I've got this blink thing going on. It's blinking stage 2, stage 2, stage 2, stage 2. When it's done blinking, I want it to run spawn. And so what is spawn? Well, spawn is going to put some things in the world for me. So here we go. I'm just going to stage 2. I'm going to add 2 objects. I'm going to go world dot add object, and in here I'm going to put a new enemy. But my enemy takes in a score field. That's why the spawn had to take in this score field. So then I have to give it an X and Y coordinate. Well, where do I want it to start? I want it to start on the right side of the screen here. So that's my X coordinate. So I'm going to say world dot get width. And I'm going to add some number to it. I'm just putting 25. You can put a higher number, a lower number, whatever works for your game. Comma. And then I'm going to get a random number for the height of the world here. So that is greenfoot dot get random number and then in the parentheses for get random number I want world dot get height. Let's see. And I need a parenthesis there, I need a parenthesis there, and I need a semicolon. So let me scroll over so you can see the whole thing. World.add to object, new score field, and then the x coordinate is world.getWidth plus 25. The y coordinate's a random number. Greenfoot.getRandomNumber world.getHeight. I could have put inside Greenfoot.getRandomNumber, I could have put 600 because my current world is 600. But later, if I change that to 400 or 800, I don't have to go back and remember to change this. Okay, I'm going to copy this entire line. And I'm going to paste it in right below it, but this time I'm going to add an enemy 2. So these are different enemies, as you'll see in the stage here. Now I want to clean up something else in the enemy class here. So go to the enemy class, and when I create a boss here, I'm on lines 48 to 57 here. When I create a boss, I remove this enemy. But what if there's 10 enemies on the screen? I want to actually remove all 10 enemies, and we can do that. We'll just make a quick change here to remove objects. But remove objects wants to remove a list of objects, so multiple things. So we're going to have to change this in here. We're going to remove world.getObjects, and then what type of class? Enemy.class. So reading this right here gets all the objects on the stage that are enemies, and it puts them in a list. And then this remove objects removes all of those objects. And that's it. Our stage should work. Let's take a look here. So I'm going to shoot this 4 times, and then my boss takes 5 hits, so there we go, stage 2, and I should get 2 different enemies that come out right now. Ooh, and there's an error. So that error happened because I forgot a very important piece of code. I'm going to go back to stage, and what's happening is my blink variable is less than 0. So it's going to keep spawning. And what did it do? It kept spawning these objects here. So what do I have to do? Well, I'm just going to add 1 line of code under my 2 add objects. I'm going to say world.remove object this. So I'm removing this object from the world, and it will no longer spawn. I just wanted to spawn the 1 time, take it out of the world. Okay, there's another thing we have to fix in order for this to work completely. I'm going to go to my enemy class, and we talked about this earlier, that these lines of code here will keep running. As long as my score is greater than 3, it's going to keep spawning a new boss. So I want to add to this actually, and I'm just going to keep copying and pasting this code. But what I'm going to do is before this, score field.getScore is greater than 3. I'm going to type before that. I'm going to put ship.stage == 1 and this is 2 and signs. If you do shift 7, you get that and sign, and you need 2 of them, and this together means and in an if statement, that means both of these items need to be true. The stage needs to be 1, and the score field has to be greater than 3. The moment stage goes to 2, this will no longer work. So we need a second one to set up. So I'm going to copy this whole segment here. I need a second one to set up stage 2. So in stage 2, well, I want stage to be equal to 2, and my score is going to be different. I'm just going to put it at 17, just so you can see we're going to get through this stage quickly. And it's going to run on to stage 3 at this point. So everything should be working correctly. Let's take a quick look. I got to kill 4 ships. And then the boss, and we'll go on to stage 2. Okay, I should get 2 enemies coming out, and they're different enemies. I will have, there it is, I've got the spaceship that goes up and down, and this other enemy that goes straight across. And I've got to get above 17, so I'm just going to kill this guy a couple times. And I'm above 17, and notice it got rid of both enemies on the screen. If there were 10 enemies on the screen, it would have gotten rid of all of them. And I'll just finish this off. I will kill the boss and go on to stage 3. There, I'm on stage 3, and nothing's going to happen in stage 3 because I don't have anything set up for stage 3. So I'll show you how to do that, and then I'll leave you to finish your game here. So this is my stage 2 in my stage object. I'm just going to copy this, and I'm going to paste it in. And this time I want to add 3 objects. So I'm going to add an enemy 2, an enemy 3, and an enemy 4. So I need to copy this line. And I'm adding all these different enemies now for stage 3. Now at some point you're just going to run out of numbers, and you can have the same thing keep spawning for everything that's say greater than or equal to 3. I wouldn't do it yet. I would want to have, 5 good stages or something before I said greater than or equal to. So I'm just going to say if it's equal to 3. And if I were to run this, I'm going to get 3 enemies this time, but you guys can set up your game to have multiple stages in here, and everything's going to work. So good luck, have fun, call me over if you have any questions.